sake, for f***'s sake. What we gonna do, what we gonna do, for f***'s sake, for f***'s sake. The world's gone mad and I'm sharing it with you, for f***'s sake, for f***'s sake. So sit right down, grab a glass of wine, maybe a cup of tea and some chocolates, and join me for another, for f***'s sake. Welcome to a very, very special FFS exclamation mark. I'm here in NOMA, New Orleans Museum of Art, and I'm sitting with one of my favorite people in the world, the incredible artist, Dawn DeDeaux. I would like to say welcome, but of course you're welcoming me to your space is the truth.
Well, I have the real estate for 3 months, yeah.
I have to say that one of the great things about living in New Orleans is how many artists I have met over the years. I mean, as in, you know, painters, architects, writers, you know, I mean, music, yeah, of course. But you, I think, you are my idea of a living art. You're living, of course you're living. I don't mean that. What I mean by that is everything about you, when I've been to your home, when I've been to Camp Abundance, as we love to call it, as you've called it, everything about you is an art piece. If you are just art on legs. I've never come across anything about like it. And now we are here in, may I, the most incredible installation, The Space Between Worlds. And I'm just going to read something out. Looking back on 5 decades of work, The Space Between Worlds resounds with a question that has animated DeDeaux's entire career. We are forced to escape from flood, fire, even from Earth itself. But who gets a seat on the bus? Who gets left behind? You are my kind of woman, and I just want to talk to you about a subject that anybody that watches me or knows me knows that I'm rampant about this one, about the human effects upon what I consider to be heaven on earth, this planet. So tell me please, and then we're going to look back on all your work, but tell me about the world between and what it is. What, for starters, what it is that we're sitting in front of right here.
Well, we're sitting in front of a big what if, and it's a big asteroid that I could not have made an inch bigger to fit into the New Orleans Museum of Art nave, as though it has landed. I think there are, through astrophysicists and those studying Earth's vulnerability from the external world, it would be an asteroid strike.
Yeah.
And of course, one struck in not far from here, if you look that way into the Gulf of Mexico, between us and closer to the Yucatan, there was a strike 66 million years ago that killed 75% of of life forms on Earth, including our dinosaurs. So it's something that can happen again. There's one, you know, flying around 200 years away, but it's possible. So this is here just as kind of a gentle reminder that we cannot take, not gentle. What an understatement. Can that be? I
love that it looks like a woman, though. Is it me, or does it look like a woman?
No. It's intended to look anamorphic.
All right.
And whether it's female, you know, we're in a fluid time in our culture, so God don't let me
I'm sorry.
say.
I'm sorry. No.
Right. But if you, which you can't see right now, gentle viewers, but the asteroid takes on a form of some of these space clowns I do, which is, and the final series of the space clowns is The Vanquished. And in that Vanquished series, there's dematerialization. They're the chunks of the armor and the flesh, not in a gruesome way, they're monochromatic, but anyway, chunks are flying off to remind us, of course we decompose, but what do we decompose into? We become back again the stardust from which we are made. Mm-hmm. So this, I wanted, because it's in the room with 10 of these works from the Vanquish series, yeah. I wanted it to take on a human form.
The space clowns. Now, I believe at this present time that we're in a world where there's plenty of space clownery going on as far as the clowns that are going up into space right now, whether it be Bezos or It just
Elon Musk,
thank you.
Bezos,
Yes,
and,
thank you. They're all there.
And Virgin.
Thank you. What do we think's up there except dust? For as far as we can figure out, this is it. This is the heaven. It's not coming after, in the next life. This is it.
I think there are things that we can do with greater knowledge of what's in outer space, things that we can do, resources, new technologies that can maybe help us reverse the adverse situation we're in here on Earth. So I'm not against the clowns going into space.
You just don't want it to be one or the other. It's like it should be both, and with surely an emphasis on the planet.
I use the imagery suggestion of departure as a wake-up call. It is I guess I do, fearmonger in that regard. It's like...
No, but for the right reasons, because if we're not afraid, then there's something wrong. We should be afraid right now.
We should be very afraid. We should be very afraid. Stephen Hawking, he kind of meandered, he went back and forth, but his dominant projection for the time to leave Earth was 2045. To your point about who gets a seat on the bus,
yeah, because that's what I love about there's one room in there which I adore with the mantle, where it's kind of the things. You describe that room, please. It's like the things
in the mantle room.
Yeah, that you're going to take with you if you get a seat on the bus.
If you get a seat, if at 9 billion people projected for 2045, we have to leave. You can't take a suitcase. So going back now to the Souvenirs of Earth. Project and what's on that mantle. Say we make it and there's a little room on the cargo ships for some art, our culture. It's not just the bone, the ash of our ancestors, it's also the art. And you and I are artists, and look how much we put into that, right? Those are our babies.
Yeah.
And so what about the art, the evidence of what we were able to achieve? It can only be in the hand too. So I realized that the souvenirs, the mantle, which you'll see, gentle viewers, it's filled with these little kitschy souvenirs that have become aluminum. They're now in aluminum. But anyway, these souvenirs are now...
It's wonderful how kitschy they are, because it's like, of all things that sum up our lives on this planet.
It came full circle for me. I said, well, the Mona Lisa isn't going to be the thing that makes it out. It's going to be the little postcard sold in the Louvre gift shop. Yeah.
And as you say, the things are this big.
This big.
This is what we're taking to show how great it all was. Oh.
That's it. So that's kind of comedy, divine comedy,
but
right?
In that same room, though, in that same room, which is so incredible, the wrecking ball in front of the swamp scene, the metal swamp scene, and that's right, but in that room, there's columns. I think about you. I see columns and I just think about you. We're surrounded by them right now. Yeah. Just because of the fall of, of civilization, the fall, everything is in that room is like on a fall, a chair is falling. The wrecking ball is superb. It's just so powerful. It just
I
hit
did
my
that
mic.
before Miley Cyrus. Now
She stole that.
She stole that. So as a woman born and raised in New Orleans and cognizant of the South, both in a kind of a naive sense, just kind of bubbling up in it, and then also having now a historical critical edge on the South and dealing with, of course, racial equality and slavery. And so the antebellum thing comes into it as well. And so it's kind of in this time and place we're kind of rebuilding a sense of what should be. So these columns are kind of coming down and new ones will emerge. So that's a part of it with the wrecking ball. But then it takes on the ecological issues. It's right in front of a 25-foot landscape, as you say, on metal. And that particular landscape is a big field of dying oak trees, and it's from the true spot of the fastest vanishing landmass in the world, which again, we can see out the window.
Right outside, yeah. The thing that I love in that room is that when you go from the toppled columns and the antebellum thing is so right on here, the thing, those columns that mean power and strength and civilization and then in the corner, you've got a plinth, a very low plinth with your garden boots on them, which is filled with concrete. And to me, that is one of the star moments because it's like, to what really should be on a plinth at this point. And I love that about you. And that then with a ball next to it hanging limply like some kind of strange used condom in a tree, but it's not, don't worry. It's like an exercise ball. There's so many of these overlapping things with you. There's ladders. There's the frame of dirigibles, which are, by the way, did anybody know that I've got a thing about Zeppelins and dirigibles? Not until I met this woman did I feel like I'd found my kindred spirit. It's the frame against yet another really very moving and very worrying image, another of the metal pieces, now with that look of fire in the distance coming at us with the frames of the dirigibles, with the ladders.
And I think I did that in 2012, and it was kind of a dreamy moment, and I felt the heat rising. And now look at the West.
And
I mean,
now,
look at Australia. Look at what is happening with these raging fires. And this is clearly climate change induced. So the ladders were both to climb out of the floodwaters, and also to, in that piece, to climb as high as you can to escape the fire and get into the spaceship. That ring itself was the way you build a Zeppelin, which to date is the largest airships, right? And so back to who gets a seat on the bus, we're gonna need some big ships, you know.
The installation of these pieces is so powerful because, I mean, I'm a big fan of size. Who isn't? Thank you. That's my only low moment. Okay, that's the only time I'm taking it down.
No,
okay,
I'm
into
gonna
the
get you
gutter.
down again.
You get me down. I'm best when I'm down.
Yeah.
But I live in the gutter, as we know. But I do love how sort of these pieces are. They really are magical. I do want to talk about that Katrina moment because it is so particular to your work and so vital and so remarkable. And moving, and utterly moving. The first thing I ever saw of yours was one of the glass Katrinas. Was that the meteorological vision of Katrina that you created out of glass?
Well, it starts so very simply and humbly. I went looking for where my parents' home once stood. So walking there, looking for the house, I found myself not knee deep, about here, calf high, in shattered glass. Oh. I had on my boots, but anyway, I was walking through this glass, and I was looking at Hiroshima. And then all of a sudden, the sun comes out, and I'm looking down at the ground, and the sun hits all of this shattered glass. And I said, direct quote, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Now, how could I say that standing in ruin? And that's the paradox. And I realized that the pattern of the storm is the pattern of the universe, that the Milky Way and the Earth...
It looks exactly like the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Exactly like the Milky Way.
It's so beautiful. I mean, that's another joy you take in the midst of all the horror, is the majesty, the majestic beauty of nature itself. I mean, and the phenomena that you can have in the macro systems and in the micro systems, a unification of pattern and order. It's just beautiful.
And that's exactly what I see in, for example, the tall pieces with the water lines. Those are incredibly moving because you're almost looking at the skylight of a city, and one at the same time you're seeing the levels that the water went up to, and it's so moving.
No, thank you.
It's so moving, and it seems it's not simple. It's so clever, but it's so beautiful, and that's the point. And I feel that way in music. It's like the point of art is to take often the hardest, most painful, most terrible things and bring beauty out of them and find the beauty in them. And then the fact that you would even use the beams from your burnt studio
Waste not, want not.
see? How can burnt beans in your hands look so beautiful?
There's no greater black than a charred black. There's no greater
correct,
black.
as I just found in my own house. It's just, don't even get me started. Meantime, I want to thank you so much for this first gorgeous episode of A Conversation with a magnificent, dear, and so incredibly talented Miss Dawn DeDeaux. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judith Owen.
Join us on the next episode for a continuation of this conversation. You have been with me, Judith Owen, your hostess with the mostest love of this woman, Dawn DeDeaux, here in the New Orleans Museum of Art. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Take care of yourselves. Until then, I'm going to leave you with a couple of those kind of songs. You know the ones that talk about what this woman is all about, and that is the beauty in the here and now on this planet. Mr. Bezos, that's for you. Love you guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Fish swim and birds got to flying. Sometimes I just have to try and make sense of all that we're doing to hold on to all that we're losing. Sometimes I just want to cry, 'cause I know, I know why the sun shines. Big man, please tell me what you're doing. Come clean, I mean, who are you fooling? Well, you don't care if you break what you borrow. Well, you don't care if our children have tomorrow. Well, sometimes I just want to cry, 'cause I know, I know why the sun shines. Fish swim and birds got to flying. We'll learn, oh yes, we'll learn when heaven's passed us by. So dig deep and poison this precious place, 'cause when we're gone, something good and green will rise in our place. Sometimes I just want to cry, 'cause I know, oh yes, I know why the sun shines. And sometimes I just want to cry, because I know, I know why the sun shines. Why the sun shines. I know. Oh. Critical times these. Let's take care of this beautiful world that we're living in. Man on the TV told me something